like to request that as we are joining into the meeting, I know we are excited and we want our voices to be heard. Yes, our voices will be heard. There's a time for that. But please, before we request that you speak or before we give permissions to you to speak, please, I'd like to request that everyone should mute their microphones. Please mute your microphones as you're joining. Yes, we love to see your beautiful faces, so you can leave your videos turned on, but please ensure that your microphone is muted. Please ensure your microphone is muted. I see the numbers climbing, but I believe some of our friends have not joined yet. So if you registered with your friend, if you and your friend had a conversation about the Green Road Workshop, please reach out to your friend now and ask them to join. We don't want to start without them. We don't want the flight to kick off without them boarding on. And we are boarding right now. And when we take off, we're going to fly high and we won't wait for anybody. So please invite your friends to join right about now. Hello, Ibrahim. Please could you mute your mic? Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, so once we reach 160 participants, I'm going to kick off. So please call your friends to join on the call now. And let's do the countdown together. Now we're at 155 participants, 156, 157. We're almost at 160, 158. Awesome. Two more to go. And then we begin 160. Awesome. So good morning once again, everybody. My name is Oluwadamilola Alade.
Good morning.
I'm joining from Green Road Africa here in Nigeria, and it's a pleasure to be on the call this morning. Thank you for joining the Green Road Workshop. I look forward to the engagements that we will be having and the discussions we'll be having. And so I would like to request that every one of us, and we want to know where you are joining from, and the organization you represent. So please, I'll request that we rename ourselves. I'm doing so right now, so we could use that as an example. Please rename yourself based on the organization you work with or that you represent and the country you are joining from. So I'm using mine as an example, Damilola Alade, joining from Green Road Africa and based in Nigeria. So your name, the organization you represent, and your country as well. Please, let's do that quickly in the next 5 minutes. Hi, Coinsola, good morning. Please rename yourself. Don't just drop it in the chat box. Joining from Eco Research and Resource Center in Nigeria. Awesome. It's great to have you. Please rename yourself as well. Hello, Enobong, Program Manager, Children and Young People Living Peace, Kaduna, Nigeria. Please rename yourself. Enobong. Lame, please also rename yourself. Lame from Botswana. Lame from Ghana. Also, please rename yourself. We want to know that everyone is well represented. All right, so I want to believe everyone has renamed themselves. And if you are yet to, please do that as we proceed with the call, because we are also trying to make very good use of our time. So I won't be the one moderating this session. And it's a pleasure for me to be sharing this opportunity, to be sharing this stage with her, actually, because she's someone that we see on the screen, and it's exciting to have her moderate our workshop this morning. And of course, for my Nigerian people, I want to use that in a Nigerian way, but we're very familiar with the Channels TV station. And so we have the head of foreign desk from the Channels TV station, who will be moderating the workshop for us this morning. And I want us, as I bring her on board, I want us to show excitement in the chat box. Please let the drums roll. You can blow the trumpets. You can put the claps in the chat box as I invite Amarachi Ubani, head of foreign desk from Channels TV Nigeria. You're welcome, ma'am.
Thank you very much, Damilola, and good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone. I'm so excited that I'm speaking to people from all over the world, especially across Africa. which is, where Channels TV has its greatest impact. I don't know if you're able to watch, but we're online. We're on YouTube. You can find us on youtube.com/channelsweb. Watch online. It's a lot easier. And I think here in Africa, the DSTV satellite provider is also really common. So that's you can also find us there on channel 420 if you are here in Africa, anywhere in Africa, I suppose. And you have DSTV, you can watch us there. I'm so excited to be here this morning. I'm so excited to be moderating this event, especially for our speakers, because I've actually had the opportunity to meet, did I say meet? No, I've had the opportunity to speak to one of them, Jennifer Morgan. She was in Nigeria a few weeks ago, where she was explaining Germany's drive and the trajectory towards, moving away from fossil fuels and where they are now, and the desire to see Africa, especially Nigeria, drive this move. When we talk climate change and its issues, a number of people don't understand. Some people still think it's a myth. Some people still think that climate change is not as impactful on our climate as we're trying to make it out to be. Some people think we're a bunch of rabble rousers. But I'm happy that there are people who still believe. If you're a student, you're welcome. This will be very informative and educative for you. If you're a resource person, I welcome you because I'm also willing to sit and learn, this morning. Thankfully, I'm not one of the speakers, so I get the opportunity to, also sit back and learn, from those who know, those who are going to tell us what they know and what we should be expecting in the future. So welcome everyone. In case you are confused about where you are, this is the Green Growth Africa program. It's a sustainability network. You'll find Green Growth in Ibadan, here in Nigeria. It's in southwest Nigeria. So you may be thinking, oh, if you come to Lagos, you might find Green Growth. Thankfully, they're online, so you can find them everywhere as well. They are a leading UNEP accredited NGO committed to the innovation, developments, and implementation of green socio-economic development solutions to address Africa's developmental challenges. So green growth is really important, and so are you. The fact that you're here means that you are really, really important as well. Green Growth's vision is rooted in the realization of a socially inclusive economic growth and development path in Africa that is low carbon, climate resilience, resource efficient, maintaining and enhancing biodiversity and ecosystems. Green Growth Africa has footprints of her impact in, guess where, 22 African countries. Now, if you know about Green Growth, let me know in the comments section. And let me also know what you know about Green Growth, if you have heard of them, if you have perhaps worked with them. I got to know about this wonderful group. I think it was also a few weeks ago. Thanks to that Jennifer Morgan lecture, in Lagos. That's how I got in touch with Green Growth, and I discovered they're doing so much work. There's so much work going on that just escapes media attention. So this is great that we're doing this today. Thank you all so much for coming. Now, some of our speakers are here, and I'm so excited about them. Zipporah, I see you. If I could, well, I can't see everybody, but I'm sure that if I just scan through, I could just call a few names. Isaac, I see you. Oh, these are all members. Thank you all so much. Julian, Kasaun, Damilola Abiodun, McDonald, Ibrahim, Victor Oduor, Gabriel, thank you all for joining. Chris, Stephen, Sotini, Shaba. Oh, they're really interesting names from all across Africa. I'm so excited.
Thank you very much.
Okay, yes, we were all asked to mute our mics though, but I appreciate you saying that. Thank you, because I know that you'll be very active, in this program. So I appreciate that. Faith, Noel, Emmanuel, Jack, thank you all so much. Musa, K, Caroline, or Sasanega. Oh, okay, you're Nigerian, obviously, from Edo State. It's a very princely state in Nigeria. Joseph, thank you for coming. Imam Unzimai, Ehi El Habib, thank you for coming as well. I appreciate everyone, and I know that we will all have a great 2 hours. Please understand, we're not going to be wasting anybody's time here today. So I believe that we should kick off with a welcome address. And I already mentioned her name. She's Zipporah Muskoyi. She's the Regional Coordinator, Education for Sustainable Development, WWF Africa. Zipporah, you have the floor. You might want to start by telling us a bit more about yourself and also telling us about your organization. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, so greetings to you all. You've been told my name. I'm Zipporah Musyoki Webola. I coordinate the Education for Sustainable Development Program on behalf of WWF from the Africa region. And I'm very honored to be part of this workshop. And I'm very happy to welcome you all to this meeting. So, yes, I take this opportunity to welcome you all to this Green Growth workshop that is being held today, which marks the World Environment Day and hosted by our partner organization, Green Growth Africa. So a happy World Environment Day to you all. And I want to urge you after this meeting, I hope you will go out somewhere and make your hands dirty and do something for the environment, even if it's planting a tree or cleaning up something, even after we've held these deliberations. So I'll tell you a little bit about WWF and how we are involved in all this. So the Worldwide Fund for Nature, which is WWF, in Africa is implementing the Africa Youth Transformational Leadership Program, whose goal is to mobilize and empower a critical mass of young people to drive the transformational change towards green economies and sustainable development in the continent. Now, this program is anchored under 4 pillars to include advancing policy, capacity building, green entrepreneurship, and networking platforms. WWF has partnered with several Pan-African youth networks with a continental spread in different countries, all working with their member civil society organization partners to advance the sustainable development agenda in Africa.
Yeah, it's probably you're muted. You're muted. Could you unmute?
Yeah, I noticed somebody had muted me. Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, so I don't know where I had reached, but I was just talking about WWF. We are working with different Pan-African networks that have a continental spread in different countries with their member civil society organization partners to advance the sustainable development agenda in Africa, and also through the 4 pillars I mentioned earlier on, which include advancing policy, capacity building, green entrepreneurship, and also networking platforms. Now, I would like to point out that WWF did not dictate to these youth organizations on what to do, but rather we have supported them to implement their strategic plans aligned to promoting conservation, sound natural resource governance, and the sustainable development agenda towards the SDG goals at 2030. So this has enabled us to support innovative youth-led ideas like the Green Growth Africa networking platform set up by the Green Growth Africa Sustainability Network that is hosting this webinar today. Now, WWF Africa Youth Transformational Program, through its advancing policy pillar, we have strived to support youth civil society organizations to contribute to global policy processes by ensuring youth engage and contribute to key policies at local, national, regional, and global levels. So this has been through the development of policy papers, policy briefs, and youth also sitting at policy negotiation tables to ensure their ideas and recommendations are taken into consideration. I would like to urge all the CSOs present here to ensure that they are part of the ongoing revision processes by national governments of their national biodiversity action plans towards aligning their biodiversity plans towards the new global biodiversity framework, and also updating their national determined contributions towards the Paris, the 1.5 degrees Celsius agreement, such that when you get the opportunity to attend the upcoming conference of parties, just to mention, for example, COP16 on biodiversity and COP28 on climate, that you are already conversant with your country policy positions and also regional positions, and be a strong, united voice for your countries and region during those key global policy meetings. So you should also encouraging you to ensure that you participate also in the development of position papers, which are inclusive, and advocate for their inclusion at global events, such that we ensure that we have the youth voice is heard also at policy decision-making processes. So I would also want to urge civil society organizations to ensure that they also work towards ensuring that you translate policy into transformative actions on the ground. Now, this underpins the Green Entrepreneurship pillar of the Africa Youth Transformational Leadership Program that recognize 60% of Africa's unemployed population comprises of the youth. So we encourage the youth to wear their innovative hats and create green social enterprises as they seek nature-based solutions to address the triple planetary crisis of climate change, pollution, and biodiversity loss. The Green Growth Africa DigiHub and networking platform provides the space for sharing such innovations. So I would like to urge Green Growth Africa, who are hosting this webinar, to create a space within their online platform that links young entrepreneurs who have green innovations with investors whom they can partner with to transform their ideas into sustainable businesses and further upscaling. This should be coupled with patenting and copyright. And of course, this will help to create green jobs by the youth themselves, even as we encourage organizations to bring their businesses, as we talk about moving towards net zero carbon, such that the new industries, the new innovations in industries will create green jobs that can be able to absorb our young populations. So as they do that, we will also encourage you to also be the future employers through your green enterprises and your innovations. So we welcome you all to this Green Growth workshop, and that seeks to deliberate on a wide range of topics, cutting across advocacy, policy making, ground actions with key underlying principles to include a human rights-based approach. So thank you very much. We welcome you. Feel free to contribute, write as much comments as you wish on the chat, and we will be able to respond to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Zipporah, and thank you for the call to Green Africa to create that link so that young people are able to have the right connections to be able to make impacts. And I also wanted to say, forgive me, everyone, happy World Environment Day. And that is the main celebration today. So if you're wearing green, kudos to you, because you are right. You are in the right. You got the memo this morning. Unlike the rest of us who also got the memo but decided to go with other colors to represent, because there are other colors also in the environment. That is why they decided to wear other colors. So happy World Environment Day. And this year's theme, from what I discovered, is land restoration, desertification, and drought resilience. So if you are doing any work related to any of these, I say kudos to you. Do let us know what you're doing. You can just mention, what your focus is, in the chats. And as Zipporah said, if you also have thoughts and ideas, if you have, comments, questions, I'm sure that we'll have time for all of that. Do put them, in the comments section as well. Thank you so much, Zipporah, for that call to action. And thank you for your address this morning. Very important. The keynote speaker this morning is Jennifer Morgan. As I mentioned, I met her, as I said, I didn't really meet her per se, but she was in Nigeria just a few weeks ago. Jennifer is, very interestingly, an American German. I don't know if we have ever heard of a combination of nationality like that. She's naturally American, but then she naturalized in Germany. So she's an American German. She's also an environmental activist specializing in climate change policy. Since 2022, she started serving as special representative for international climate policy of the Federal Foreign Office in Germany under the Minister Annalena Baerbock. From 1994 to 1996, she served as coordinator for the US section of the Climate Action Network. She then directed WWF's Global Climate Change Program from 1998 to 2006. She worked as Global Climate Change Director for the think tank E3G, that's Third Generation Environmentalism, from 2006 to 2009. From 2009 to 2016, she worked as Global Director of the Climate Program at the World Resources Institute. Unfortunately, Jennifer is on a trip right now, excuse me, saving the world, and all the things that she does best. But since she didn't want to disappoint us, she sent in a video, which we'll be playing in a minute, because she is the keynote speaker. She's giving the keynote address this morning. So let's quickly hear from Jennifer Morgan, who so graciously sent this in, even though she knew she wouldn't be here physically to join us, or even virtually, because of other engagements. Can we play Jennifer's address, please?
Hello, and warm greetings from Berlin. It is a great pleasure and honor to speak to you at your forum, Path to Just and Sustainable Africa, Capacity Building for Policy Impact. Green Growth Africa is addressing a very important issue here, and this great initiative comes exactly at the right time. Why is that? Well, a comprehensive transformation of the global economy is already underway, and we are all part of it. So this is the time for civil society to get up, to reach out, to make sure that this transformation will be socially just, inclusive, and lead to sustainable development and a better life for all. All the more so because we need to act quickly. As we know, humankind is facing a triple planetary crisis: the climate crisis, the biodiversity crisis, and a pollution crisis. They are interlinked, and they are reinforcing each other. They are already causing terrible human suffering, tremendous economic losses, the degradation and destruction of ecosystems, and the extinction of species. Despite all of this, there is hope. Last December at the World Climate Conference in Dubai, the world took the bold decision to triple renewable energy by 2030, to double energy efficiency by 2030, and to transition away from fossil fuels in a just and orderly fashion in line with the science of 1.5 degrees. This shows the political will is there, and the world also possesses all the technologies and all the funds necessary to achieve these goals. Another sign of hope, the Kunming-Montreal Global Biodiversity Framework was adopted during the 15th meeting of the Conference of Parties this February, following a 4-year consultation and negotiation process. This historic framework sets out an ambitious pathway to reach the global vision of a world living in harmony with nature by 2050. And for crisis number 3, in November, governments will come together in Busan, Korea, for the 5th and hopefully last round of negotiations for a global treaty to end plastic pollution. What do all of these international processes have in common? Well, whatever success that has been achieved, it would not have been possible without civil society, creating public awareness and pushing politicians and businesses in the right direction to the benefit of all of us. At any step, at any time, civil society has been a driver of climate action, of environmental action, of anti-pollution action, of human rights action, of social justice action. I could go on. Activists and NGOs have always been at the center of the fight for climate action and climate justice, at the center of the fight for a just green transformation that will allow for a better, safer, and healthier life for us all. We need your creative, innovative ideas and initiatives more than ever. We need local activists that know the needs and issues of local communities. Only grassroots organizations can make sure that no one is left behind, that local value creation is assured, that the structural changes coming with the transformation are beneficial to local communities. And we need a closely knit network of civil society that connects the local level with this global level. This is absolutely key. So events such as this online forum and the creation of the Green Growth DigiHub have a part in creating this network. I wish Green Growth Africa and all of you great success. I wish that the vibrant African civil society can live up to its true potential and be the strong partner that you deserve to be. And I have full trust that that is what you will achieve. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jennifer. And I'm hoping that, when you get to watch this Zoom event at a later time, that you understand that we appreciate that you were able to send this in. We also appreciate the partnership between Germany and Nigeria. We thank you for your keynote address, encouraging everyone to participate, in helping to improve the environment. She talked about every level, all levels, joining in this action. We appreciate Jennifer Morgan, even though she couldn't be here in person. We know that she's very busy, but with policymakers, they care a lot, but they also sometimes are unable to be at places present. Thank you so much. I see that people are already sending in questions. This is a very active meeting. I would say a very active event, because there are lots of questions coming in. Some people are asking about emails. Some people are asking about action plans. If I could just read just a few so that we're thinking about this as we go on. Pilom Association Eswatini advocates for agroecology for small-scale farmers. Oh, that's not a question, sorry, but I did see, someone did mention we need to send the recorded video of Jennifer. I agree, so that we can get the full benefit of what she said. It's very important. There's so many CSOs here, and there are also many environmentalists who are very interested, in these conversations and also the partnerships that exist. Thank you so much, everyone. I see that people are also still, introducing themselves in the chats. I appreciate that. Thank you all so much. If I could just mention a few names, Ibrahim. I see many people are also from Nigeria as well. Logging in, we appreciate that. Okay. Someone was asking, okay, someone introduced, I believe, their own organization, and someone is asking more information about that. I know that Green Growth Africa would also be, putting some information in the chat box so that, we're also following conversations on the various issues as well. Thank you all. I also see that some people are raising their hands to ask questions. Unfortunately, we won't be able to take the questions now or take your concerns now. So if you could please put your concerns in the chat box, I think that would be more effective. I appreciate you all. So let's move on to the first lecture of the day. CSOs in Public Governance. It will be taken by the Executive Director, Young Volunteers for the Environment, YVE, stroke JVE for short. And Sena Aluka is all the way in Togo, where he or she joins us. Sena, I believe, is I don't want to say it's a female name, but it does sound like a female name. Sena, bonjour, ça va? You have the floor right now for your lecture. Okay, it does appear that, Sena is yet to join us. I think he or she is still making efforts to join us. So we will come back to her. Legimo, I see you really want to say something. You're raising your hand. Could you please put your concern in the, sorry, I believe this is Malila Evans, not this is Malila Evans. Legemo also raises hand. Could you please put your questions or your comments in the chat box, please? Thank you. And I believe that while we're waiting for Sena and giving her or him time to join us, we should move on to the second lecture, which is on global and policy relevance of local action. He is known as Olumide Climate, but I know that his real name is Olumide Idowu, because I've had the pleasure of meeting him, also had the pleasure of conversing with him. He's a climate change activist from here in Nigeria. He promotes environmental awareness and a balanced approach to environmental protection and development. He has over 13 years of experience in climate change activism. He also engages both younger and older generations through his involvement in climate change organizations and social media, where he is known as Mr. Climate. I believe a lot of us would also know him. He is co-founder of International Climate Change Development Initiative and aims to create climate-smart generations in Africa and address development disparities. He holds positions as the UNDP Small Grants Program's Youth Focal Point in Nigeria and the youth lead author of the Global Environmental Outlook. You can connect with him on X. I believe he's also on Instagram, and he is also on Facebook. Mr. Climate, you have the floor. Okay, it seems like, some of our speakers are yet to join us. So why don't we just take some comments, okay? All right, I'm going to go on a limb here and ask Lugimo Mwafongo, you're raising your hand. What is your concern? Go on and speak. You have the floor. Lugimo, you now. I don't know if we can give permission to. Can we give him access so that he can? Oh, hold on. Okay. Oh dear. We can't seem to be able to, we're not able to, okay. So I will just go on and just read some of the comments that we're getting in the chat box because they are so many. You guys are so active. What do? We go all the way to the end and let's see.
Hello.
Oh, hello.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Okay. Oh, this is our second speaker, Mr. Clement.
Yes,
Thank you.
I've been here, but I was
We
just
can-
being granted the mic.
Oh
So,
dear. Oh dear.
yeah.
You know what? We're bumping you up. I guess it is your destiny today to speak before our first
Let me
lecture
do that.
because Senna is yet to join us. But your video is off. We can only see a
Yes,
very nice picture of you with a face mask.
I want to switch to my laptop, so.
Okay. We will give you time to do that. It's okay. I think you can. While you're trying to make the change, let me just read some of the comments in the chat while we're waiting for you. Jemima Dabo is attending from Cameroon. Oh dear, the messages are really coming in fast. Evelyn Emeka is in Abuja, Nigeria. Hello, Evelyn. Abubakar Haruna Yahaya is in Gombe. I said there were lots of Nigerians here. But thankfully, we have Emmanuel Morgan from Nairobi, Kenya. Nice to meet you. Nice to also see you. Jemima Dabo is attending from Cameroon. Thank God she's a climate and green analyst enthusiast. So welcome, Jemima. Okay, so we have Steve Omondi from Kenya. He says he's a founder and team lead at Green Earth Initiative. He's an environmental conservationist and Africa Agenda 2063 Goodwill Digital Ambassador, championing for numbers 12 and 13 of the SDGs. He advocates for plastic waste reduction, reuse, and recycling. His organization recycles and repurposes plastic waste materials into eco-friendly products. That's really great. Yes. Innocent is from Uganda. Darren Ntogolo. You know, I'm always excited when I have to pronounce these names because they're nothing like what I'm used to. It's actually exciting for me to meet people from other places. Also, Adebayo Adewusi has a concern. It says, unfortunately, we destroy environments daily by turning the green to brown through our various activities, ranging from house to road. I believe it means ranging from housing to road construction, all in the bid to urbanize. It says it shows people a lack of education on the symbiotic relationship that ought to exist between man and plants. Okay.
Hello.
Okay, Olumide, yes, we're ready for you whenever you're ready. There you are. Okay, take it away now.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to join this wonderful conversation today. My name is Olumide Idowu, and I'm the Executive Director for International Climate Change Development Initiative. I'm very happy to be here, and I can see all familiar faces on this call. Good to see everybody, and I'm sure we're going to have a very great conversation today. So my presentation, I will be looking at, if it's possible, they can, I don't know if I can share or the host can share from the back end. Then let me see whether I can share from here, if possible. Okay, so let me just continue then. It's possible they can do the sharing later. Okay, so I will be looking at the issue of global and policy relevance of local action. But before I go, let me first of all appreciate the executive director, the entire team of the Green Growth Africa for putting this together on this great occasion, international, that's World Environment Day, where everybody's trying to make sure that we keep our environment more, sustainable, and making sure that our land is being saved. Like what the UN said, they say we should kiss the land. How many of you are going to be kissing the land today to make the environment more sustainable for all? So thank you very much for giving us the opportunity. And for everywhere we are joining from, let us make sure that we take responsibility today to make our environment conducive for all. So I'm looking at the conversation of the global policy relevance of local action. And as we all know, there's a lot of local action in the world that is gaining more, attraction, getting more innovative ideas. But today I'm going to be looking at some areas that is very, very important to us as people, from different communities, from different locality, that we find ourselves. What does local action actually means in the context of global issues? We know that the local action is a local effort, to solve global issues. And looking at the people, the communities, organization, and even governments act locally to solve global concerns, including climate change that the whole world is facing presently, issue of ending poverty, inequalities, and environmental degradation. And that is why you see on the coastline of the Great Green Wall Project is also talking about planting more trees to save the planet. That is why those kind of local actions are local actions that we can acknowledge that there's a global issue that requires grassroots cooperation at the regional level, both in the global collaboration and coordination. So it's very important for us to see how we need to drive this, local action in the context of global issues. And the only way we can all do it is what I've highlighted. Collaboration is key and coordination is very important. And that is why each and every one of us, we are thinking big, but we need to act locally. And acting locally is what builds up to come to the global success. And the issue that we have presently in the world that we see that is across climate change, across poverty, across inequality, or let me just say the sustainable development goal is one of the big areas that we can use to engage ourselves moving forward. Then moving on to my next slide, I talk about the importance of local action in addressing global issues. Number one, we know that local action is important, yes. But when you see the issue of climate change that is affecting both the South, North, East, desertification, desert encroachment, we see sea level rises, we see flooding everywhere. We even see the issue of gas flaring. We see what is going on in Eastern Africa today. A lot of people talking about we need to end, the oil spill that is happening everywhere. And we need to start looking at how communities can handle global issues locally. How can they proactively, motivate themselves to speak to the issue that is affecting us locally? How can we look at this effect to speak worldwide, to create awareness that can be able to turn to action? From action, then we start looking at creating a movement that can pull us to the success story that we want to see. So it's very important that local action can address this global issue that we see. Thirdly, local action can speak innovation. We know that innovation is key. While we are talking about innovation, we are making sure that we are taking everybody along. And that is why local communities, they know these difficulties. They understand this problem. So when we don't have adequate resources or adequate government, then the local action they were building, the innovation we are looking at, will not actually materialize. Businesses will die, organization will not be able to move further. We will not be able to create innovation that meets the local problems. So we need to start looking at how we can share, replicate local solutions. If a solution is working in Togo, it's possible you need to work in Kenya, it's possible you need to work in Mozambique, so that we can speak one voice as an entity, as a local entity, so that by the time Africa is talking about solution, we talk a solution that works for Africa. And so it is very, very important that we start looking at community members should feel empowered and owned by local activities. We need to take ownership of actions, innovations in our communities. We need to take ownership of solutions that can drive sustainable future for people, so that everybody can have the responsibility that can inspire a long-term future, a long-term global, pattern solution, a long-term solution that a lot of people will not need to wait for anybody to benefit from those solutions. Then I look at the importance of grassroots initiatives and community involvement. Number one, how do we think about empowerment? How do we bring people together to set up what we call the focus group discussion to see how we can empower ourselves locally, entrepreneur mind, and to start seeing how we can develop those kind of people that need those supports. How can we create collaboration that is future sustainable? How can we create collaboration that will change the mindset of our local people so that they can be able to also be part of the solution? Social capital, how do we build those capital for people? How do we make sure that everybody understand the issues that we are facing in the world? Local knowledge transfer. How many of our local actors, local actions, our grassroots initiative understand knowledge transfer? We need to start taking, cognizance or taking into cognizance the issue of local knowledge, because local knowledge can also build that advantage of innovation that we are looking at, so that the global issue that we talk about, we start solving from local entity. How do we tailor our solutions to make sure that it meets that woman that doesn't understand English, to meet that woman that cannot speak your language, that can only speak a local language? How do we create sustainability in the structure that we have in our community? How can we make sure that when governments do this, the community can take it up and make sure that it's well sustainable? So it is very important for grassroots initiative to look at all these ideas on how to empower themselves, how to build collaboration from one local government to another local government, how to tailor their solution to suit them, and how to build knowledge transfer so that everybody will not be left behind. The community involvement will be more strengthened when there's local action, and the global issue that we are looking at will be local action. When we think big, we start small. Then we move to what are the connection between these local actions and global policy outcome. Number one, local action can be influenced by global policy outcome through advocacy and grassroots movement. How many grassroots movements do we have today? How many advocacy have we created to make sure that we are speaking one voice? How many local actions serve as model of pilot projects for global policy implementation? Rather than giving it to us, we are building the solution locally. How many connections have we built to make sure that we contribute to data collection? How many data have we been able to work with that is driven locally, that is driven from sustainable, from local action, so that it can reflect our action in the global scene? How many of us have been able to engage our local policy makers, not even the one from the executive, talking about the local policy makers? How many of them have we built that connection, build that connectivity? How many local actions have been able to create an effect that can inspire other actions in our local entity and can now build a global relevance for the issue that we see, whether it's climate change, whether it's poverty, whether it's inequality, even this encroachment, and across all the issues. So it is very, very important that there's a lot of connectivity. There's a lot of connection between this local action and the global policy outcome that we've seen across the value chain. And if we cannot leverage on this, then we are still going to lack the trust of the local people that we see in our community. What are the global challenges we are facing? There's a lot of global challenges that we face. And one of them that I mentioned in my PowerPoint is cut across the global challenges that we are facing. No matter any country, no matter any community, no matter anywhere you are staying, you're affected by climate change, poverty and inequality, global health pandemic. Some years back, we faced that. Political instability and conflict, economic inequality, access to education, food security, sustainable development, cybersecurity and digital privacy, mitigation and refugee crisis. If I know anybody on this call that have never faced this kind of crisis, that have not seen the first hand of poverty and inequality, that have not seen political instability in his or her country, should come out and talk to us. So it is very important that all these issues we are facing now, The solution to it is collaboration. The solution is to have a local action that can drive sustainability, to make sure that we build an economy that is just, to be able to see how we can talk about climate resilience and issues. So it is very key and important. So our local action can contribute to addressing the global challenges. We've mentioned this. We need to create awareness and education. We need to look at sustainable practices. We need to look at community engagement from the local voice. Sorry to use the word the Bible. They say when 2, 3, or 4 people are gathered, we see the manifestation of the word. Then we can now use that opportunity to gather 2 or 3 people to transfer knowledge, to talk about attitudinal change, so that we can be able to see that our action locally contribute to the success of the global issue that we see. Advocacy and policy change. How do we influence our policy? How do we make sure that we push our government to drive sustainable policy in our community? Economic impact. How do we create more entrepreneurs? How do we make sure that every aspect of our economy is being supported by local driven actions that can lead to future that we see for ourselves? So it is very, very key that we look at all these issues. Don't worry, I have just 2 or 1 more slide. Then the next one, example of success local initiatives and their impact on the global scale. I'm using Nigeria as a case study because I'm from Nigeria, but I'm going to also use a case study from Kenya. Look at M-Pesa. It's originated for Kenya. It has also had a significant impact in Nigeria, because when M-Pesa came out, a lot of people understand that transaction was very easy. And you come to Nigeria with a lot of transaction platform that people are using now. That is innovation that is going well successfully. FarmCrada is a Nigerian agri-tech platform. When they started looking at how can they bridge the gap between the farmer and the investors. And a lot of supporters, investors comes in to provide a win-win solution for both parties. That is a local driven action. Budgets, a Nigerian civic technological organization that promotes public finance management, transparency, and accountability. How many of us will be able to see how we open our budget to people, how we translate our budget to local people, for them to understand where they go, where they come from? Hello Tractor is an interesting platform I've run in Nigeria. It's also an agri-tech company that provide, support for people that are building solutions that can scale from local action and get to global scale and can be able to solve local problems. And that is what is very more important. We talk about alignment and coordination. That is why importance of policy support for local action. We need to talk about resource allocation. How do we allocate resources to local actions, to entrepreneurs, to upcoming generation, to people that are living with poverty? How do we build their capacity? How do we create collaboration and networking? And how do we scale up and replicate actions that I've mentioned in my former slide, that, okay, when we have budget doing this, how can we replicate that action in different countries, in different entities, to make sure that government keeps opening their budget to people to understand what they're spending on them? Benefit of engaging in local actions for both communities and global communities. 1, community empowerment is key, and straight to the government, straight to international cooperation on this call. We need to talk more of sustainable development. How do we develop our people from bottom approach? How do we create social cohesion? Is very key. Networking, create people, connect them, let them see the advantage in sustainable solution. Let us see how we can balance our economic growth and how we can create a global impact that will solve our global problems. To my last slide, which is an example of improved sustainability, resilience, and community empowerment. We need to see how we can transition to renewable energy source like solar and wind power in every aspect of African countries and can solve our global issues. How can we implement energy efficiency? How can we promote sustainable agriculture? How can we improve our resilience by developing disaster preparedness? How many of us prepare for the upcoming disaster that you are seeing? How many of us have been able to invest in climate resilience? How many of us have been able to implement nature-based solutions that can drive actions for local actions? How many of us have been able to encourage participation, supporting community-led initiative, and promote access to quality education, which is the bedrock of sustainability, which is the bedrock of community-driven and local action? Thank you very much. And I'm very sure that we've been able to see how we can start talking about local action that solve global issues and can build a sustainable future for all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Olumide. And I appreciate, I like, the parts where you were asking us how many people even understand the budgets, how do you translate the budgets to people in the rural areas, and how the problem really is how to interpret policies in a way that local communities can actually understand what these policies are, what they're expected to do. You have to be able to interpret the vision, the government vision, to groups and to the grassroots, so that they really understand what it is that you're talking about. I see that you put up a Q&A, so I'm going to go on a limb here and say that if people have questions, if you have questions for Olumide, now would be a great time to send them in. Yes, it is important to tackle global climate challenges. I think the problem really is understanding how it impacts on our lives. The last question he asked was, how do we prepare for upcoming disasters? How do we prepare for upcoming challenges? We don't seem to be ever ready here in this part of the world. We don't ever seem to be ready, for disaster. We don't ever think that, natural disasters can happen as a result of climate change. For example, in Nigeria, the rains have been coming, and flash floods. There have been a number of flash floods as a result of these rains. But maybe going too far. I think a few weeks ago, there was a landslide in Papua New Guinea because of the rains, the heavy rains. We've seen heavy rains around the world. We've seen rains. I think Dubai a couple of months ago received 1 year's worth of rains. They would normally receive in a year. They received in just a few hours. Those are climate change disasters that we do not ever prepare for. So it is important to highlight that. Thank you so much, Olumide. If you have questions, now would be a great time. I see people are commending Olumide. That's great. Elvis Omondi says, awesome presentation. We need to take everyone along. That's true. Local community is indeed the root solution for global change. Gertrude, thank you. Someone's talking about the WhatsApp. If you have questions for Olumide, and I encourage the other speakers as well, after your presentation, please don't go. People might have questions for you, and it's been great to have you answer. Be around to answer the questions. I'm still waiting to see if there are any questions for Olumide. I hope we were really following. I know that we were, especially the CSOs, were following, his presentation, and I know that for participants, you might be in luck to receive a recording of this event, so that you can review, especially Jennifer Morgan's address, Zipporah's address as well, even Olumide's address. We would like to review them. We'd like to come up with our own, like to properly understand and dissect the things that they said, so that okay. So Mbilaya, I think your question is for everyone, but Olumide, see if you can attempt answering this question though. He says, why is it that Africa is the most affected by climate change? We are very far behind in resulting in, I believe that is in resulting in sorting our environment. I hope I'm understanding your question. And as much as we're pushing to develop our countries, we seem to have turned a blind eye, to the activities of the corporate world affecting the environment negatively. He commends Olumide for raising a good points. I think, Olumide, you just take the first question. Why it appears that Africa is the most affected by climate change? Olumide. I hope you haven't gone. I see you're still here, but you're muted. You need to unmute so you can respond to the question. You still need to unmute. We can see you, but you still need to, oh. What's going on?
Okay, sorry. It's the admin, so I've been trying to unmute myself. So can you hear me?
Yes. So Mbilaya was asking why Africa seems to be the most
Yes.
affected by climate change.
Yeah, I saw that. Well, if you can hear me clearly, African countries are more affected, as we all know, by climate change, and these are due to some sort of combination of factors. But I will just want to let you know that the combination of environmental and social economy, even and infrastructural factors, make African countries more, subject to the impact of climate change, and it is crucial for the global efforts for us to address climate change, to prioritize the needs or the vulnerability of African. And also, we should not forget that I may not say I don't want to complain about our government, but I also want to complain about the people. That we, the people, are also one of the contributors of this problem that we see in our society. Because if every one of us can take, personal responsibility, then we'll be able to solve the problem for ourselves. And we need to speak to the people that is, damaging our land. Poverty and socio-economic inequality in Africa, has gone so far, and it has an impact on climate change. Poor communities often, lack of resources to even cope with the extreme weather events, and even environmental degradation, like we're celebrating the World Environment today. We see that the celebration is for us to see how we can, restore our land, how we can make them more, acceptable to people. So, there's a lot of factors, and those factors lie within we, the people, that are actually not taking our personal responsibility, and for our government to also to make sure that they listen to the people that are at the receiving end. They say when two elephants are fighting, the grass suffers it. When the international body comes into the country to invest in climate-related issues, are they allowing them to invest? Are they allowing them to solve the problem? But in another way, they say Africa is a dumping ground. How do we make sure that we don't allow this to continue again, in as much as we are facing the impact of climate change? Thank you.
I see the technicalities behind the scenes. The hosts, I'm supposed to be a co-host, but I see that another host is almost I think muted me while I was trying to say something. Thank you so much, Olumide. I see that Senna has joined us, but Olumide, since we have you, I think you will have to take some of our questions while we are here. Let's see, I did see a few more questions. Someone asked, how can we bridge the gap between policy formulation and implementation in Africa? How can we bridge the gap between policy formulation and implementation in Africa? That's a really great question. Olumide, if you can, if you're still here, could you please take that question?
Hello?
Yes. Please go
Can
on.
you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Clearly?
Very clearly as well.
Okay. The person said, how can we build what? How can we build policy formulation in Africa?
How can we bridge the gap between policy, oh dear, I lost the question. Let me bridge the gap between policy formulation and implementation for Africa. I think that was a question. Yeah.
Hello?
Yes, how can we bridge the gap between policy formulation and implementation in Africa?
Oh, okay. Thank you very much. I think, well, I'm not a policy person, but I will try my best. One thing that we need to know is that to talk about bridging the gap between policy formulation and implementation in Africa, there are a lot of requirements, and those requirements, how do we talk about the strategy approach, and what are the actions needed? How do we make sure that there's a stakeholders engagement in that formulation of that policy? How do we make sure that there are institutional capacity for every individual that is going to be on that platform to make sure that there's a policy that is supporting and implementable? How do we look at the issue of coordinating and cooperation? Like I said in my presentation, that we need to understand coordination and collaboration, because policy formulation is not just a day or a week or a month. It's about continuity. And how do we start talking about implementation strategy? So the gap there is for us to see how we can create a resource mobilization for every one of us, or for every stakeholder, to be able to identify where they are, what they need to do, and how that policy can translate into continuity or translate into implementation. And that is why public awareness is very key. Public awareness is very key for people, so that there can be enough effective communication of any set of policy that is being built, whether it is climate change policy, whether it is the national determined contribution, any policy that is going to solve an environmental issue. It is very, very important. So by us creating these gaps, then we'll be able to see that there's an effective bridge between our policy formation and policy implementation. And we now see the impact that is going to be more sustainable. The impact is going to address issues that is facing country, or every country in Africa can be able to identify this support or this policy to drive environmental sustainability. Then we now start seeing how to bridge the gap between stakeholders, international body, government, and the local communities. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Olumide. You are not a government official, but we appreciate you attempting to answer that question. It would be nice, if at events like this, we also have, government officials present. But we know that they're all really busy. We appreciate, our resource people being able to respond to some of these questions. Olumide, I would encourage you to wait till the end. We're not too far from, the end of this program. I also want to highlight that, for the sake of our participants, you would also need to wait till the end, because we have the Executive Director of Green Growth Africa speaking on the Green Growth DigiHub. He'll be explaining to us what this is about, how to link up to it as well. It's a digital app for environmental actors to showcase their works, their projects, the network, and also to get opportunities. So this would be a great opportunity for us, for every one of us who is involved in, climate change, and who are environmentalists, who are activists. It would be really, really nice to have this. So I would encourage everyone to wait till the end, because it's the icing on the cake. At the end of all of this discussion, it is how do we connect with one another to create more impact. That is what is important. I want to invite the next speaker. He is the regional facilitator, major groups and stakeholders accredited to the UNEP, Africa and Programs Manager for SAINESA. David Ngigi Munene represents the UN, he's Executive Director, Programs Manager at the UN headquarters in Nairobi, Kenya. He is also the Catholic Youth Network for Environmental Sustainability in Africa. He participated at the 137th UNEP CPR, where it sits as an accredited major group and stakeholder of the United Nations Environment Programme under the Children and Youth MGS. David Munene is joining us from Kenya. He's giving us a second lecture, which is titled Human Rights, a Tool for Ecosystem Conversation and Restoration. David, it's great to have you here.
Thank you very much, Amarachi, for the very kind welcome and for the introduction. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you very clearly as well.
Okay, thank you. I will proceed, colleagues. Thank you for joining this very, very important webinar on I think, the 56th session of the World Environment Day. If I could be allowed, I can play the presentation from my end, but it's still fine if you'd like to do it from your end. I see it's already projected, so let's go with that in the interest of time. There are bigger, better matters later after my presentation, I'm sure. So please proceed to the next slide, as this is just an introduction. I thought when we are talking about human rights, what do we really talk about? What is this that we call human rights? In fact, what is rights in the first place? Where do they start and where do they stop? The globally accepted definition is that these rights are inherent, that just because you're a human being, you are entitled to, you have a right to human rights. You've got human rights. And therefore, this means that there is no violation. That's what it means to be a human being on this planet. And no risk of violating those human rights is also an important principle of the same of human rights. And then equality and fairness are the basis upon which these human rights are built. At the risk of expounding the topic beyond what the scope of this webinar, I like just to stop at referring to them as freedoms of what we can do and what we ought to do. But I would also like to caution colleagues that these come with a responsibility. Most of the times, it is very easy for us to say that my rights have been violated without remembering to say that I have not taken responsibility myself, because rights come with responsibilities, and the borderline of your rights is where you begin to infringe on mine. I think that is globally accepted. There are several principles that have been accepted about the definition of human rights, that they are universal and they are not alienable. You cannot take them away from somebody. Now, the Article 1 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which was the Human Rights, the Human Rights Conference was held in Stockholm in 1972. In 1973, we had now the consolidation of this Universal Declaration of Human Rights. It indicates that in the first article, all human beings are born free and equal in dignity and rights. This means that we have similar, equal, and the same rights. But what differentiates these rights is the context and circumstances within which we are ourselves. The rights cannot be divided, whether they are civil, cultural, environmental, social, or political rights. You cannot be able to separate them. You cannot say, for example, I am addressing cultural rights and then ignore environmental rights, because in one way or another, you'll be violating the same. Similarly, the good news is that because they're indivisible, you cannot address civil rights without addressing environmental, social, cultural, economic, and political rights. They are also interdependent and interrelated, which means that you cannot violate one without violating the other, and therefore you can promote one and therefore end up promoting many others. They promote equality and non-discrimination, that regardless of it all, remember, they are founded on the basis of that all human beings have got dignity and they are equal. Then there is a question of participation and inclusion, that every person has a right to participate and be included. But I chose to include the word meaningfully there, because inclusion is just not inclusion unless it is meaningful. There have been cases of very many futile and meaningless inclusions where it is claimed to rubber stamp inclusivity, but in the real sense, nothing has happened in terms of inclusivity. It's just a showcase. And this is where terms like tokenism come up. In terms of accountability and rule of law, the states and other duty bearers are answerable for the observance of human rights. Sorry, I had a bit of an interruption. So in terms of human rights and conservation, what is the relationship? On July 28th, 2022, there is the famous UN General Assembly resolution 76-300, which is on the 76th session of the UN General Assembly. Resolution number 300 indicated that it's your right as a human being to a clean, healthy, and sustainable environment. But I dare say it's also your responsibility to ensure that there is a clean, healthy, and sustainable environment for you and your neighbor alike. But this resolution was not the original discussion about human rights and conservation or environmental matters. This was following resolution number 13 of session 48 of the UN Human Rights Council. And this indicated that this right is important for the enjoyment of human rights. That's the right to a clean, healthy, and sustainable environment. That this right is also related to other rights that already exist, including international law. That the promotion of this right requires that we implement all the multilateral environmental agreements under the principles of international environment law. As you can see now, for those who have been able to follow the discourse on either climate change, biodiversity, pollution, or just environment in general from the UN Environment Assembly and other fora, you would be able to see that there is a gravitation of the world towards multilateral environmental agreements, that we are seeking multilateralism beyond anything else. But all these were after the 1972 declaration of the UN Conference on the Human Rights, on the Human Environment, which comprises about 26 principles. Next slide, please. Again, rights imply that we have a responsibility. The first principle of that 1972-1973 declaration of the UN Conference on the Human Environment is that man, and in this case, please forgive the language, you can see it is a document in 1972. Therefore, it might not be very gender progressive, but I had to quote it directly because it is not my document. If it were today, I would phrase it as human beings have the fundamental right to freedom, equality, and adequate conditions of life in an environment. That means we already, and this is a fact of life, that we exist within an environment, that you're listening and following up on this webinar from within an environment. And that we bear the solemn responsibility to protect and improve the environment for our generations and those generations that will come in future. In this case, I'd like to borrow the famous quote that we have not inherited the earth from our ancestors. We have borrowed it from our grandchildren and the future generations that are coming. So therefore, we are indebted to them. We need to take care of this environment to conserve our ecosystems, to ensure that the human rights enable this excellent conservation of ecosystems so that they can be enjoyed by other people who come after us. This speaks again highly to sustainable development, which is defined as the ability to utilize today's resources without compromising the capacity for the next generations to enjoy the same resources as you have yourself. In this respect, the policies that promote or perpetuate any form of violation of human dignity, be it apartheid, racial desegregation, discrimination, and any other forms of oppression, including, I dare say, occupation of territories of indigenous peoples and our ancestors as well, is evil and therefore violates the right to our right to be responsible stewards of our ecosystems. I like to borrow two quotes from the New Deal for Nature and People, which was a conversation around rallying people to come together to make a deal with nature to conserve and halt biodiversity loss by 2030. That nature conservation is not only a matter of our morality, it is also vitally important to our existence as human beings and our development as well. Then the famous encyclical by Pope Francis, which is written and addressed to everyone living on this planet and has been accepted around the world beyond the Catholic circles and has been instrumental for the push for an ambitious Paris Agreement, as you might know, in 2015, is that human development presumes full respect for the human person, but it must also be concerned for the world around us, and that calls for conservation. Next slide, please. Next slide, admin, kindly assist. Thank you. So human rights, ecosystems, conservation, and restoration must begin from the right to be able to access and conserve and restore ecosystems. In Africa and many other places as well, because this is not a case that is unique to Africa, we have seen people being prevented or prohibited from accessing ecosystems and ecosystem services, being denied permission to even take care of them, that I put it to you, possibly even in Nigeria as it is in some places in our African continent, it is impossible for you to even go and conserve a public ecosystem space without regular permission or without even permission being granted by higher authorities. To address human rights, then we will be able to, for example, allow access to restoration of ecosystems. And this includes, for example, the protection of indigenous peoples and their territories, the land rights for women, which was a great outcome from the UNCCD COP15 that was held in Abidjan. And this means that the rights that we hold as Africans, the rights that we hold to land, the rights that we hold to ecosystems, which are indeed public and universal to all of us as a common good, is a right that needs to be safeguarded as a human right. Now, this safeguarding of human rights also enables us to safeguard the ecosystems. And of course, the opposite of that is true. If we don't have the right to safeguard our own ecosystems, then our human rights have already been violated. Next slide. I'd like to end with this, that in the end, as proclaimed in the Declaration of the United Nations Conference on the Human Environment of 1972, I dare remind you that the first World Environment Day was instituted in 1972. UNEP was also established in 1972. And this declaration of the United Nations Conference on the Human Environment is available online for you to access. That man is both creature and molder. Again, forgive the non-gender progressive language of 1972. That man is both creature and molder of his environment, which gives him physical sustenance and affords him the opportunity for intellectual, moral, social, and spiritual growth. That in the long and very arduous, torturous evolution of the human race at this planet, this has been reached when, through the rapid acceleration of science and technology, man has gained so much power to transform his environment in countless ways and in an unprecedented scale. This means that man has had the capacity, the human being has had the capacity to alter the environment either positively or negatively. Those of us who are in this webinar, I believe, are connected because we have faith that we will be able to alter the trajectory and conserve our ecosystems, that we must be able to ensure that we enjoy these ecosystems, this environment, the natural resources as a basic human right and the right to life itself. I'd like to thank you for your audience. Thank you very much. Asante, merci.
Thank you so much, David. Asante to you too. Thank you so much for reminding us human rights. Human rights are inalienable. Human rights are also environmental rights. Safeguarding human rights also means safeguarding our environmental rights. Thank you so much for reminding us about that. I also want to encourage us, if we have questions, don't forget to put them in the comment section, because we're going to be able to hopefully be able to take questions later. But I just want to also mention here that we're going to move to the next segment, which is the breakout rooms. I'll invite Damilola from Green Growth Africa to explain how this works.
Thank you very much, Amarachi. Thank you very much, David, for the very insightful session that you just took us through. I mean, it's action-based, and I believe that from this workshop, everyone is already highlighting the actions that they are taking going forward. So because this is a workshop and it has to be one, we will be going into breakout rooms now, where we will be discussing about policies. If we remember, while we're making registration for this workshop, there was a question around the policies or recommendations that we have for CSOs and government bodies. So we'll be going into breakout rooms now. we'll be getting the notification very soon to go into breakout rooms. And we have 3 minutes for these discussions, 3 minutes for us to share the policies that we look forward to having, our recommendations for the government. And please ensure that each breakout room, the first thing that we expect to be done is for you to select a spokesperson or a representative. Now, a link will be shared, a Google Form link is going to be shared with every breakout room where your representative, please note, only the representative from each room will share the discussions from the breakout room into the Google Form. So first, as you're being assigned into your breakout room, please ensure that the first thing you're doing is selecting a spokesman or a representative who would fill the form, would share the form shortly, and would communicate the feedback of the breakout room to us. So right about now, please remember 3 minutes. Let's maximize our time very well. Respect other people's opinion, respect other people's suggestion. Please, no argument. Everyone's opinion is valid. Everyone's recommendation is valid. So we'll be going into breakout rooms right about now. We can see the notification on our screen.
Welcome back from the breakout rooms. I know that for some rooms there were lots of discussions. I was in room 1, and I think everybody wanted to speak in room 1. Unfortunately, we couldn't take everybody, but we do have a representative who will be presenting. So I just want to remind us again, for the representatives of all the groups, you need to fill the feedback for discussion. The feedback for discussions form is a Google document. You'll find it in the chat box. You need to fill that so that we can take in the recommendations from the various groups. Thank you all so much. I think that, first of all, I want to commend everyone for staying till this time. I know that you could have been somewhere else. Today is World Environment Day, beg your pardon. And I know that people have various activities going on. We appreciate your spending time with us this morning. Thank you so much. I think we should quickly go on to the Green Growth DigiHub very quickly by Adedoyin Adeleke, the Executive Director of Green Growth Africa, Nigeria.
Thank you very much, and I upload my slides shortly. 1 second. Okay. So please let me know if you can see my screen.
We can see it.
Okay, great. So I'll hold just a second. All right. So it's a pleasure to be here, and we are really honored to host a lot of people from different parts of the world. Coincidentally, today is the World Environment Day. So I say once again, happy World Environment Day. I actually prefer to say active World Environment. Let's be active about it, not just talk about it. Right. Now we'll be talking about the Green Growth DigiHub. Olumide, thank you very much for the very elaborate discussion about the role of civil society, the role of citizens on the path to just and sustainable transition towards achieving a green economy. And thank you very much again. You really put this in context. And thank you also, David Monene from Kenya, who also spoke about our rights. Everyone has a right, including environmental rights. Actually, environmental right has been an instrumental right for many years. But 2021, when the UN pronounced access to clean, healthy, and safe environment as a human right. So that's moved from just being environmental right to a substantive right in itself. Now, Green Growth DigiHub. Oftentimes, many of us here, we know that everybody is interested in case, even me, in case you have a funding opportunity for us, who we're looking for. But everybody is actually looking for funding opportunity because we have very beautiful ideas all across the world, wanting to implement them to work to catalyze and accelerate the path to a sustainable continent. The planet. Now, but funders, nobody is there to fund your project just because you have beautiful idea. every funder have what they're driving towards, what their objective. There is no free lunch in London, like people say. So oftentimes, what we have realized, which we also show in a moment, what we have realized is that funders want you just to implement, yes, a local project. Yes, the money they have, maybe they're not able to give you $1 million, but maybe something small. They know it's only for local impacts, local implementation, local project, but they want to see how you are able to make global impact from that project, that little fund they are giving you, $1,000, $2,000, and also make contribution to policy with those little initiatives. Also, even for you, when you are developing your project, many of us, how many of us can maintain a website? And then how many websites does somebody want to visit on environmental issues? So oftentimes we end up posting our social media, our projects, activities on social media, and then get 2 likes, 3 likes, and then the next day somebody forget about it. But how can you have a free website where you can upload each of your projects, have its own website for free, and they are connected, such that with a link, you can send to somebody and say, see what I have done, I deserve to be supported. And also, how can you stay updated on recent happenings, opportunities, resources that are available? I tell you, between 2014 and 2021, there were, across the world, 3 new resources published every single day. But are we aware about them? We don't often. Now, also, after you identify and network with people like minds who are working, like Olumide was talking about, somebody has done a project in Zimbabwe, somebody has done a project in Togo, it's most likely we can be able to replicate it if we're able to network, create partnership. I'll show you a good example shortly. And then, where can we get information about various opportunities available to support your local initiative? I tell you sincerely, this is the questions that we have answered. Now, look at the screen. This is Pam Jaga in 2019. There was LinkedIn at that time, and she wrote, "It is surprisingly hard to find faculty lists, areas of expertise, email addresses, and website of African universities. Thus, difficult to take initial steps towards collaboration and partnership. Who can help solve this problem?" By the way, Green Growth Africa used to be known as Iceland Africa. And someone we have been working with from the US mentioned, said, maybe Green Growth Africa, Iceland Africa can help. Actually, it's because of other things we have been doing in that space before. And then let's look at the next picture. They say, looking for climate change experts, scientists or specialists based in Kenya for a documentary on climate change and food security. Documentary shooting in Kenya, Madagascar, South Korea, USA. Tag them to point one to me. Now, despite the availability of all these social media, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, and all that, it means that there are some questions still unanswered. There needs to be a sectoral focus where people of like minds on environment can come up and say, okay, yes, if I want something about biodiversity, I will be able to get people here, see their profile and be able to choose, opportunity for consultancy and things like that. Somebody actually said, we're in America, we have the money for a project in Kenya, but do we have to get to Kenya before we identify people that we can work with? They were looking for platforms like that. So these are the problems that we have solved. So shortly, I'll play this short video, less than 4 minutes, and I'll give a short overview, and then I'll be done. Okay, skip verification.
Helen Hadsell was able to win any competition she took part in. She was known as the contest queen.
Green Growth DigiHub. Social and economic development are key to improving livelihoods and meeting basic human rights in Africa. Nonetheless, the relative neglect of the environment is compromising the gains of socio-economic development, thus reducing the overall progress achieved. Despite the increased acknowledgement of this oversight, current efforts still lag behind the devastating rate of environmental loss and degradation on the African continent. However, numerous green growth initiatives are contributing to the restoration and conservation of ecosystems in conjunction with social and economic development that can help define, refine, and catalyze the path to a green and sustainable Africa. Nevertheless, most of the actions and factors lack linkages and visibility, which limits their ability to impact policy and access critical support to sustain, scale up, and replicate their initiatives. In order to facilitate system-wide linkages, knowledge sharing for policymaking and changes, visibility and opportunities for green growth initiatives, actors, and experts, the Green Growth Africa Sustainability Network, Green Growth Africa, developed the Green Growth DigiHub. Green Growth DigiHub is an online networking and connections platform for green growth stakeholders that serves as a continental map, database, resource library, and catalog profiling green growth initiatives and experts in Africa. The online intergenerational and multi-stakeholder platform integrates 5 major tiers. Green Growth Social Networking Platform is an intergenerational social networking platform for all stakeholders across the globe that are committed to green growth in Africa. Green Growth Project Platform profiles and catalogs green growth initiatives and mainstreams them to the relevant Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs, international green growth frameworks, including priorities of the African Union's Agenda 2063. The platform provides functionalities for investment in green growth initiatives and to draw policy implications from the initiatives, among other functionalities. Green Growth Expert Platform showcases the expertise of green growth experts in Africa to a global audience for partnerships and consultancies, among other professional engagements. Green Growth Opportunity Platform enables users and stakeholders to share various opportunities from around the globe on green growth. Green Growth Media Platform shares news and updates, including research findings, among other media resources on green growth. Annually, green growth initiatives from all the 5 regions on the continent will be honored with the annual Green Growth DigiHub grants to encourage and support innovative initiatives. Similarly, policymakers, lawmakers, and business leaders, among other critical stakeholders who made outstanding contributions to green growth in Africa, will be honored with Green Growth DigiHub Awards. Monthly newsletters and a quarterly Green Growth DigiHub magazine will also be published and shared globally. The annual Green Growth DigiHub report will be published to showcase green growth initiatives implemented across Africa, share their policy implications, and present a holistic overview of progress in green growth on the continent. The report will be shared with governments, multilateral and international organizations, including the private sector, among other stakeholders, to facilitate evidence-based policymaking for inclusive and participatory governance for greener Africa, the Africa we want. Green Growth DigiHub. Green Growth DigiHub.
Thank you so much. I go back to the slides. One moment. So can I have the slides? Yeah, where is it? Wait. Sorry, 1 second, just to move away from, then I share again. So it's not true already. So basically, and once we want to sincerely appreciate the Worldwide Fund for Nature for fully supporting this. They supported this from scratch till now. And today we have the app on Google Play Store. Just type Green Growth DigiHub. You have it on Google Play Store and Google Store. The App Store, the iOS has been reviewed by Apple, and also we have it on the web www.thegreengrowth.com. Basically, it's a platform that helps to extract global and policy implications of your local initiatives, showcase your expertise to a global audience, facilitate networking and collaboration with global green growth stakeholders across the globe, and also give visibility to your green growth projects. You know, it gives several you can get several first-hand green growth opportunities such as fellowship, consultancies, project funding, scholarships across the world. And also it's, of course, networking platform, we mentioned this, and you get information about, stay updated by information about our findings from research and all that. You know, we have the mobile app, we have the web app. The web app is on thegreengrowth.com. Yes, it's an integrated platform. And actually, but this is for multilateral organizations. When you have your project on that platform, there is a Google map, there's a map on the phone that showcases your project, highlight it, such that development organizations and international organizations can come. For instance, World Bank wants to do a project and want to support Africa on environmental issue. They want to understand what's already on ground. They normally do baseline. What's already on ground? What are the gaps? What can we do? To identify the gaps where they can support. So on such a platform, they can come, we engage with them, they can come, and then we click on a button, they see what is already happening in Africa. They see where the gaps are happening. Okay, in Kenya, perhaps, there's a lot of biodiversity activity going on, but perhaps they see a gap, for instance, in climate, and they say, okay, then we decide to go on climate. And you have some of the interfaces. I think we actually did the interface to make it quite user-friendly. And the platform supports all forms of projects, not just projects that you put on ground. Even if you do social media advocacy, either it's advocacy campaign, legal issue, a legal initiative. Project implementation, cleaning the beach, from cleaning the beach as small as it may look, to even building a whole solar city. All that is accommodated on the platform. The same thing with also policy. If you do research, if you do capacity building, if you do structured education programs, and then you have different dimensions of green growth already programmed there. So once just with the click of a button, you are really seeing the big picture of the project that you have been doing locally and seeing the global relevance. Of course, whether it's continuous, whether it's a project you do annually, every 3 months you do it, January to February, you do it every year, or just a project you did once, whether it is past project, current project, ongoing project you can do. The only one there is no provision for is a future project, because we want to be sure that these projects are done. And by the way, time would not permit me to discuss with you verification processes. We will verify our project on the platform. It's not a platform. Anybody just take a picture of a project and just come and post there. So there's a verification process, and it has been built on. Like I said, either your project is online, on ground, or both. That's accommodated there. So you see, covering all the SDGs are helping you to extract your contribution to the African Union, the priorities of the African Union Agenda 2023, and also, talk about the impact of your project. Apart from all of that, which is the SDGs, AU, African Union priorities and all that, you also have a means to really directly say, please, I would like the government of Botswana to consider this based on this project I have done. These are the policy lessons, how they can make it easy for other people that will do it, how they can draw lessons from what you have done to inform policy making and processes, and governance. So from your project with that platform, from your local project to your platform, we are going to be analyzing quarterly the data that the project on the platform, and then producing what we call the Green Growth DG magazine, which will grow across the world. And annually, we'll be producing a synthesis of all the projects on the platform, and then we'll drop policy implication on the project, and all projects and all organizations that do them will be properly acknowledged, stated there that this project we consider this project in making these recommendations. Therefore, with the platform, in case your funder is asking you, make sure, how do you want to use your project to impact policy? Just show them Green Growth DG. Once you submit your project there, we do the rest of the job, and you will be carried along. You'll be informed when this report is out. You're going to have a copy of it yourself. Soft copy of it will be online, definitely. So with that platform, we are taking you from the local environment where you are doing your very great, beautiful work for local impact to the boardroom where they're making policies. We are facilitating evidence-based policy making for inclusive and participatory governance for green growth. There are so many other things there, because all I've spoken about is just one out of the 5 major tiers of the platform. There is the opportunity platform, there is the expert platform, there is the social networking platform, there is the media platform as well. Basically, the platform provides system-wide linkages, knowledge sharing for policy making, global visibility, attract investments. When you show your project there are tools there where for potential investors, donors can see you and contact you directly on the platform. So that's why it's important when you do your settings on the app, just like Facebook, put your notification on so that when anybody engages with your content, with your project there and your posts on Show the Token platform, you can be notified directly in your email and also on the phone and then you can come to respond to it so that you don't miss any opportunity. And I mean, like I've mentioned this help you the platform help you to extract all the contributions you're making to all of this. What we don't know is that many of the local activities we're doing, including as little as cleaning the beach, contribute to all of these things, but they have not been a system all the while to really help us to extract them out. And these are the interface. Thank you very much. I tried to rush it a bit. We are going to be, please subscribe on our YouTube channel at Green Growth Hub, or you see Green Growth Africa. Our social media handle on YouTube, Facebook, everything is at Green Growth Hub. So we're going to be making a lot of how-to video to showcase how you can navigate the platform. Thank you very much. In case there are any questions, you can drop in chat box. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Adedoyin Adeleke. I wish we're all here in person so that we could give you a round of applause because I know that this initiative is going to benefit everyone. I'm glad I was very happy when I heard you say the media as well. So I know that it's going to benefit everyone, but it is important. You know, this is the problem, you know, with CSO and activists. It is getting the word out. You guys are doing so much, but, you know, very few people get to hear and learn about what it is that you're doing. So I think that this initiative will help us get the message out there. If you need to know more, perhaps you missed some aspects of Dr. Adedoyin's presentation, you can go to www.greengrowth.com. You can get more information there on the digital app and everything else about Green Growth. Thank you so much for speaking to us. Again, I want to commend everyone who has stayed up until this point. I know that it has not been easy. Some of you have missed breakfast to make sure that you're here, but it is because of your dedication and your commitment, and because this World Environment Day that you are here. This is the work that you do. I mean, this is the work that you do. Your job is to continue to draw attention, you know, to climate change issues, to environment issues, and we commend you greatly. You know, you're the stars of the show. Thank you so much for staying up until this time. We have a video from Judy Bross, the Executive Director of North American Association for Environmental Education. She was unable to make it to the webinar today, but she did send in a video. She was formerly the Senior Vice President of Education and Centers at the National Audubon Society. She has been actively involved in national and international environment and education efforts for almost 3 decades. She successfully managed the education and outreach departments of 3 national and international conservation organizations. That's the National Audubon Society, World Wildlife Fund, and the National Wildlife Federation. She will be speaking on citizen science for social change. Can we have that video, please?
Fix the audio for that. Amarachi, please, if you don't mind, can I proceed?
Yes, please go ahead. For everyone, those who joined from the beginning, this is Damilola Alade. She's a lead operations at Green Growth Africa. She welcomed us into the webinar, if we all remember, and she gave us, you know, really exciting preview of what to expect on the program today. She will be speaking on Eco-Justice Fellowships, tips for successful application. I will suggest that we all listen up because this is very important information. Damilola.
Thank you very much, Amarachi. And of course, it's, like I said, it's a pleasure, and it's still a pleasure to be here. Thank you to everyone that has joined from the beginning, that is still on the call. And thank you for the time. We do not take for granted the time you have spent with us today on World Environment Day. And we hope that we have been taking 1 or 2 action points for us, because it's very important that beyond the discussions, beyond the conversations, that we take action. So please, let's take note of the actions. They are the most important aspects of this workshop. So I'll be introducing us to a Nobel Fellowship, one of its kind, and it's one of our initiatives from Green Growth Africa. what we do at Green Africa is centered around empowerment and capacity building in order to ensure that we help Africa, we help every sector to grow and to develop sustainably. And so we have developed an Eco Justice Fellowship. A picture will come up shortly, and we are naming this fellowship after a very prestigious leader. Is a two-time president of Nigeria, Olusegun Obasanjo Eco Justice Fellowship, and this is the picture on my screen. And we are doing this we're naming this fellowship after Olusegun Obasanjo because during his time as president, and even during his time, even now that he's no longer in presidency, he has made very remarkable impacts in the environmental industry. And we're using this fellowship in honor for the great work that he has done, and to also encourage leaders and individuals as well to see in the capacity that we have, what are the things that we can do in our own capacity as leaders and as individuals. So we are launching the Olusegun Obasanjo Eco Justice Fellowship. And I know the question now is, how can I be part of the fellowship? What is the fellowship about? What are the requirements for the fellowship and those other things? So I'll be taking us through that briefly. The fellowship is going to be a 6 months to 12 months duration, and it's going to be for youth, for young individuals who are active environmental actors. Now, earlier when my colleague was speaking, he made mention of our digital app, which is also for environmental actors, the DG Hub. Now we'll be using the DG Hub as a metric to select our fellows, because we want to ensure that whoever is participating in the Eco Justice Fellowship is someone that has great interest in green growth, interest in sustainability, interest in development, and interest in the environment. So if you want to be at the top of our selection list, please ensure that you're an active user of the Green Growth DG Hub. Ensure that from time to time, you update the app with the projects that you do. Because once we roll out our applications, these are some of the criteria we'll be using for selections. We want to know how active you are in environmental solutions, in sustainable development, and in green growth across all sectors. So that is first. Now, we are interested in having young Africans on the fellowship, and the fellowship is to encourage environmental justice. As an Eco Justice Fellow, you would be responsible for not just making, you'll be responsible for making similar environmental projects visible, and you will also be responsible for being an environmental judge in the sense of it. You'll be helping people to bring to light people who are committing environmental crimes. You are going to be part of the reporting team to achieve this, and all of this will be actively done on the DG Hub. It's a 6 months to 12 months fellowship, and it also provides a leadership development opportunity, because you are not just, like I mentioned earlier, we are at the core of capacity building for youth and empowerment. And that is why we have focused this fellowship solely for youths between the ages of 18 to 35. So this is also an opportunity for youths to develop their leadership skills, because they would have opportunity to interact, opportunity to lead projects and to oversee projects, and many other things like that. So please, I'm going to go through some of the things that I said earlier. Ensure that you're an active user of the DG Hub. Ensure that from time to time you upload your project and we see that you have active projects on the DG Hub. This is going to be a major selection for our fellows. And also please ensure that you are not just joining the fellowship because you see it as an opportunity. We're selecting individuals who have strong interest in sustainability, who have strong interest in community activism, in environmental justice, and many others. I should also mention that the Olusegun Obasanjo Eco Justice Fellowship is one of its kind, and it's something that the former president himself is looking forward to. We have had several meetings with him around the modalities of this fellowship, and we are still having another meeting with him tomorrow. And so please look forward to the applications for this, because it's first of its kind and it's going to be very big. If you're interested, I think this is the time for you to follow us on social media so you can keep tabs on when we would be releasing the application. I should also mention that there is going to be funding support for fellows in order to carry out their projects, their findings, and their research. So please, are we good to go? So please take note of all of these things. If you have more questions, please, you can drop it in the chat box here and we would attend to them. You can also reach out to us on our social media handles if you have questions as well. And I believe the video is ready now, so I'm going to be handing over again to Amarachi. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Damilola. You're the bearer of good news, because I know lots of people will be interested in, this fellowship programs. Fellowships are one of the fastest way to get ahead, in the game. So remember the key words, the key criteria that Damilola mentioned: active user of DigiHub. You also need to show a strong interest in sustainability, strong activism. It's important to also keep your eyes glued to the Green Growth Africa DigiHub and the website as well for more information on this and other opportunities. I believe that Joyce video is, Judy, beg your pardon. Judy Ross's video is ready now for us.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to this session. My name is Judy Brous, and I'm the Executive Director of NAAEE, and I'm really excited to be here and be part of this. And I wish I could be there in person, but it was super early in the morning. But we are so thrilled to support the work of Green Growth Africa and this workshop, work we're all doing around the world. And there are emerging hubs. We have the Asia Pacific Regional Center and JEEP Africa, and I love the work that our colleagues in Africa are doing, including Adedoyin, who has been part of the JEEP Africa team, of trying to look at how do we strengthen environmental education across the continent and build stronger networks. So the 2023 incredible young leaders from 47 countries. We've been doing this program since 2016, and Adedoyin was a 30 Under 30 awardee in 2017, and he was a Changemaker grantee and got funding to help support his projects. Two opportunities that you all can apply for. One is to win up to $50,000 in US to advance eSTEM education. If your organization is doing this work, I encourage you to apply. It's in a worldwide competition, and we want to support the good work that's happening. And Green Growth Africa won in 2022, and we were thrilled. It wasn't my decision. It was a collaboration. So all the good work that's happening with. So this is our tagline, and we're always thinking about what is the education we need for the world we want. And that's something I encourage all of us to think about. So thanks for all that you are doing. It's so important, and we look forward to continuing our partnership with Green Growth Africa and so many of you. I hope you enjoy the rest of the workshop. It's been an honor to be part of it, and I hope you think about keeping the hope alive, looking for solutions, and pushing everybody to take action. No matter what they do, it's going to help. And I love this quote: you can't wring your hands and roll up your sleeves at the same time. So if you get discouraged, the best way around that is to take action. Thank you all so much, and I look forward to talking to you in the future.
Wow, that was short but really inspiring. If you get tired, that is a sign that you need to take action instead of just wringing your hands and being frustrated and saying you don't know what to do. It is a sign that you need to get up and take action. I think that we have gotten a lot this morning. We have also gotten a lot this mid-morning as well. Thank you so much, everyone who's been here from the very beginning, from when we started at 10 o'clock. We had so many people. I don't think we even anticipated to have, at a point we had over 300 people in this webinar. It's just amazing. And I'm so glad that you were all able to make it. We appreciate you, appreciate the work that you're doing. Green Growth Africa is here for you. It is here to help boost, whatever your projects are, whatever your missions are. It is here to boost that. It's also here to ensure that we all live in a better world, green environments where everyone is able to everyone lives and let lives. We all respect human rights, which are also environmental rights as well, because you cannot alienate either of the rights. It has been a wonderful 2 hours, nearly 30 minutes, but 30 minutes now. Thank you so much for all the speakers, for Olumide. Thank you for staying back to answer questions. David, we appreciate, you remind us again what human rights are and how important they are to environmental rights and how important they are to the ecosystem. We also enjoyed the presentations from Jennifer. We enjoyed the presentations from Judy as well. We wish that they could have been here or, appeared live so that, we could also, send out questions and have them answer them. Dr. Adedoyin Adeleke, thank you for bringing us good news about the Green Growth DigiHub, which is also related to the Eco-Justice Fellowship, which Damilola spoke about. It was really interesting, and we're looking forward to each of us participating in this, since it is one of our own. We know that former President Chief Olusegun Obasanjo is a remarkable man. He is so many things to so many people. He was a president. He's, advocating development for Africa, Africa's social justice and everything. He's an icon, a complete total statesman, not just for Nigeria, but also for the rest of Africa. And we're so proud of him. We're so proud to be part of, this fellowship that Green Growth Africa has brought up in collaboration, with the former president as well. Hopefully we'll get to have that presidential handshake in the near future. So I'm going to hand over now to Dipo Adedoyin. Adedoyin, if there's nothing else coming up. Dipo, I believe, is on standby. He will be speaking on the certificates. And he'll also be answering some of your questions as well, because I know that Green Growth Africa team behind the scenes has been combing through the chats and seeking the more important questions for this particular season. Dipo, if you're ready, take it away.
Yeah. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Dipo Adedoyin. It will be. Yeah, just make sure you download the DigiHub and then.
Sorry, Dipo, you might want to start again because we lost audio with you at some point.
Okay. My name is Dipo Adedoyin. I'd just like to tell us that the certificates for participating in this program is actually going to be on the DigiHub. So as we have been advised before, we have to download the app. It's on Google Play Store. And then you go to where we have the certificate. We give you the right links to the place, but it's on the DigiHub app. Thank you very much from here.
Thank you so much, people. And I wish I could see everyone. This would be a great time for us to give ourselves a round of applause for having stayed up until this time Congratulations, everyone, for attending the webinar, for participating in the breakout rooms, for your suggestions. I got to hear some really great suggestions. The policies already in place in Ghana, in Kenya, in some parts of Nigeria, that we're not even aware of.
Okay, madam. Madam, can I quickly talk about the questions that we have been able to highlight?
Okay, very good.
We actually got so many questions, but we just managed to streamline them down. All right, the first question coming from ombogi5@gmail.com, and it says that I will like my perspectives here. The Secretariat can take note. Governance, rule of law, and justice are or should be part and parcel of green growth environment. But basically, he's talking about how is the organization able to offer that legal mechanism or protection or representation in such cases? Can you give referrals? I think this one will be handled by Green Growth Africa. We will take that much later. Another question is from Clean Sumo. Clean Sumo is says that currently we serve over 1,000 households and employed 19 waste pickers. Over 400 pickers recover recyclable plastics, PET bottles at our buyback center. It's just talking about what they do, all right? But this one, Jacob Stanley Wanza said our keynote speaker mentioned that the funds are available to start up green projects working towards environmental issues. He said, given the different agenda all our governments have, what accountability mechanisms can be set in place towards these goals? This Jacob is referring to the keynote speaker. Basically, the question is what accountability mechanism can be set in place for towards these goals? We have another question. He said it's just about, he said, hands and feet of Christ are reaching to the community. He was just talking about what they are doing. Joseph Njenga, he said, we have a challenge globally because of our environmental conservation. So he was just trying to tell us that we need to place the commentation. It's a comment, not really a question. But this one is from Kenneth Rotich. He stated that Africa emits less than 70% of GHGs, yet it bears the brunt of climate vulnerabilities. And he said that it is sad to note that L&D debates and commitments within the Paris Agreement framework, such as UFAA, are advancing COP27 and COP28 conferences. The question is, how is Green Growth Africa supporting the African region in lobbying for the realization of L&D commitments? All this is from the Green Growth Africa. Will enter into it much later. This one is from Vincent Ngala. Is from Kenya, County Government of Busia. He said, I'm Vincent Ngala. Let me go to the question. So he said, what advice will you give to the participants in terms of creating partnership with local governments as a recipe to ensuring effective implementation of green initiative, that is development of bankable development partner concept notes, cabinet memos, and proposals? I think this can be answered when you lodge in your projects with the DG Hub, and then we can take it on from there. All right. This question, there are two questions from one Adebayo Adesanya from Nigeria. Number one, it says, how do climate models account for the complex topography and coastlines of Africa in predicting climate change impacts? Again, how do climate models account for the complex topography on the coastlines of Africa in predicting climate change impacts? All right. The second question says, how will climate change affect the distribution and prevalence of disease-carrying insects like mosquitoes and tsetse fly. I think our facilitators, if they are still available, should attend to this. It's on the, I think Damilola can help me to send the PowerPoints, the question in PowerPoints to the platform so that they can see it. This one is from Gbemisola Mokunye. She said, how will climate change the distribution of disease-carrying insects like mosquitoes and other flies in Africa? Similar question to that of the last question. Then the next one is from Kwaku Gembu. He said, what is the role of academia in combating climate change? From Ghana. This question is from Ghana. And then James Hill asked this question, say, what is the relationship between democracy and human rights? Does democracy ensure enjoyment of human rights? Another question is from Joan Gallagher, said, here in South Africa, many people believe that our ancestors live in the ocean. Is this the case in every African culture? And the last set of questions says, from Omojewe Ititie. So my question is, how do we mobilize indigenous people to fight for their ancestral lands when they are not willing to fight for it? He said, I have a program of recent when I was invited to an EIA program. I advised the committee to make sure that the oil plantation don't take their ancestral land. He said, I was almost lynched. So the question is, how do we mobilize indigenous people to fight for their ancestral lands, even when they are not willing to? And the last one of all the questions is from Mompoloki. I don't want to murder the surname, but I think I can call Mompoloki. He said, how do modern agricultural practices influence climatic change? Okay, that's all the questions we have. All right. So I don't know. How do we take it one by one? Those are the questions. I think we will put it on the DigiHub and the website much later on our feedback.
Thank you so much for the sake of time.
So that we save time.
Yes. And we know that we have overshot our time budgets for today. Once again, thank you, everyone. Oh, yeah, the numbers have dropped now because I guess it's almost time for lunch. So people have hurried off to go and eat and probably relax. There was a lot to take in, I guess, from the webinar. They needed time, or they need time to go and ruminate and to also think about the action plans. Thank you all so much. I guess I can close, right, Damilola? Can I go ahead and close, yes, or will you be giving the vote of thanks and closing the webinar?
Okay, so I could do the vote of thanks quickly. Adedoyin would have done this, but it's in transit at the moment, has to catch up with another meeting. So on behalf of Ringwood Africa, on behalf of the Executive Director of Ringwood Africa, Dr. Adedoyin Adeleke, I'd like to appreciate everyone that participated in the Greenwood workshop, and also to encourage us not to relent in our efforts towards ensuring that we have a sustainable economy, that we are all very active in sustainable development in order to ensure that Africa grows in the direction that we want it to be. In the words of Adedoyin, and I'm sure if he was doing this, he would have closed with this, and it's that Africa is too rich to be poor. I choose to act. What do you choose to do? So please, let's all ensure the little we can do in our capacity to ensure that we are making our contributions towards sustainable growth and development. Before we go, those of us that are still on the call, please, if you do not mind, please turn on your video. Let's have a quick screenshot. I've been trying to do this all through the meeting, but I think it's very commendable for those of us that waited until the end. So please turn on your cameras. Let's have a quick screenshot. please, if you're posting about the workshop, please do tag us on our social media, and those at the Green Growth Hub, we would be glad to collaborate with your post. We'll be glad to repost your post as well. We can also take pictures from our end. Please feel free, and you can tag us. We would love to see your comments about the Green Growth Workshop. Thank you so much. I hand over now, Ma.
Okay, I'd hand it over to you, but handing over to me again.
Again.
So, all right, I'll be the final bus stop. Thank you, everyone. Have a productive day and happy World Environment Day. My name is Amarachi Ubani. I'm with Channels Television here in Lagos. It's been a real pleasure hosting this, and I hope to see you all very soon. Thank you. Bye.
Bye, everyone.